Is eating less carbs actually good for your brain? Hi, I'm Bernice Hunt, and I am a brain health specialist. I work with women just like you who are starting to notice a few memory challenges, and I help you to stay sharp so that as you age, you can still travel, have fun with your grandkids, and experience new adventures without missing a beat. After more than 12 years of being in the health field, I've heard a lot of people talk about being on a low carb or no carb diet. And I get it. I mean, those kind of diets do help you lose weight. They also help you lower your blood sugar levels. So, that's a good thing. However, I really prefer to think of it as a smart carb diet. Okay, and there's a difference because with smart carbs, you're focusing on the quality of the carbohydrates and not the amount of carbohydrates that you're actually eating. Now, did you catch my last video? I had a video a few days ago, and it was on smart carbs, okay? So it's talking about not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, okay? It's talking about smart carbs. So if you haven't watched it yet, it's still on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page, Keep Your Brain Sharp. You can go there and watch it there. But today I wanted to talk specifically about your carbohydrate choices. Okay, so first off, what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are actually a fuel source. They are energy that's made by plants, okay? So plants make carbohydrates, okay? And it's designed to fuel our body. It's actually the primary fuel source for our body and our brain. It's the first choice of fuel that it likes to use, okay? So it's very important. And all plants make carbohydrates. All plants use carbohydrates for their own growth and development. And all plants store carbohydrates for future use. Okay, so that's what carbs are. Plants need carbohydrates for their development, their growth, their functioning every day. We need carbohydrates for our development and function every day, okay? Now, we know carbs as fiber, sugar, and starches, okay? And all the plants that we use to get carbs from are fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds, okay? Those are our food sources for carbohydrates. Now, all of those have fiber. And fruit gives us most of the sugar. And then our starches are coming from the starchy vegetables. Those are the things we're going to talk about today. But that's not all that plants do. That's not the only thing plants are good for. Plants also have lots of antioxidants, lots of minerals and vitamins, and they fight the aging process and reduce our risk of chronic diseases. So if you're going to get rid of the carbs, that means you're getting rid of plants, and plants do other things than just supply you with that energy. There's other benefits from plants. So you don't want to, like I say, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, okay? And you don't want to curse what God has blessed. God designed that for us, okay? He created that for our bodies. So who are you to say you don't need it? Okay, all right. So the problem, in fact, is not the plant. The problem is what we like to do with those plants. You know what I'm talking about. We take those plants and they get fried, dyed, and a whole bunch of other stuff put inside, okay? They get smothered with sugar, with salt, with fat. Some of them we can't even recognize by the time we get finished with it, okay? It doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. It don't even taste the same in a lot of cases, okay? It's what we did to that plant. It's a far cry from what it was when it was growing in the garden, okay? So the problem is not the plant. All right. I don't think I need to talk that much about fiber because we all know, we get our fiber from our veggies and our grains and our nuts and seeds, okay? And we also know that whole grains are better than refined grains, okay? We know those things, okay? But did you know who that fiber is for? That fiber is for your gut bacteria. You eat it, it goes right down, keeps on traveling, and gets down to that gut. And the gut's bacteria is what is eating up that fiber, okay? It's for them. And you want them to eat it too, because we're like the DoorDash. We deliver the fiber to the bacteria that's in our gut, and they actually dispose of it. They actually eat it. And they have waste products when they are eating it, digesting it. They produce waste products just like we do. We get waste products when we eat, they do the same thing. And it's those waste products that are actually beneficial for our body's health and our brain. Because they say that the gut is your second brain, and there's a connection there, guys. And if you aren't feeding that gut correctly, your brain is not being able to function correctly, okay? And so if you're not taking it, they're not getting fed and they're not getting no poop, you have a problem with your health. That's just, that might be graphic, but that's what it is. You're using the waste products from your residents, okay? So we need that fiber, okay? We're going to get that. We get that. Now, we also need to talk about sugar. And once again, y'all know what I'm talking about, where the sugar comes from. The thing with sugar is, all right, it matters how quickly, okay, it's processed in your body. It makes a difference, okay? It's kind of like wrapping it up. The sugar needs to be wrapped up in something, because the sugars in berries and in fruits, it's wrapped up in a lot of fiber, guys. It's wrapped up so there's a slow release. So we don't want to be stripping the sugar off and then throwing it into just about anything we want to throw it into, which is what we have a habit of doing, okay? But we need the sugar. We just need it in the correct form, whole food, fresh, frozen, that kind of thing. All right. Now, starches is what I want to get to. The starches, like I said, are in what we call starchy vegetables. We have two sorts. We have starchy vegetables and non-starchy vegetables, okay? Both kinds of carbohydrates, all right? But the starchy vegetables, like potatoes and corn, okay, they have some things about them you need to know, because starchy vegetables have like 2 to 3 times more carbs than the non-starchy ones. They say that in a half a cup of starch, you're going to get like 15 grams, typically, of carbs, versus in a non-starchy, you're only getting like 5. That's a big difference. We're talking about cooked versions in a half a cup. If it's fresh, non-starchy, I think it's a whole cup, okay? 15, 5, 15, 5, 15, 5, okay? That's a big difference, all right? Also more calories, okay? You're going to get more calories in there as well. Both of them, non-starchy and starchy, have fiber. Both are full of nutrients, okay? Both are naturally low in sugar and fat and vitamins. So both of those groups are good for you, but the starchy ones are a better source of that resistant starch. That's the starch that we can't digest. It gets all the way down into that large intestine. So your little critters down there will have something to eat, and they need something to eat. So what I'm saying is, don't totally eliminate starchy vegetables, because they need to eat too. That your gut bacteria are finicky. They don't just eat anything, just like you don't just eat anything. Okay, so they have their favorites, and different types of bacteria have different types of favorites, okay? And so they need that resistant starch. So you don't want to eliminate, but you want to have, you want to be cautious of how often you are eating that, because they have more carbs per serving, they have more calories per serving, those kinds of things, okay? So you're going to eat both the starchy vegetables and the non-starchy vegetables, okay? Now, there's a big old list of non-starchy. Now, regarding the starchy, certain things like beans, okay, and legumes, peas and lentils, those kind of things, sweet potatoes, technically, and some squashes are technically starchy vegetables, but I'm not saying eliminate those, because they are full of protein. And they can be protein substitutes for your meat. We're talking about eating less meat. Okay, if you're eating less meat, you still got to get protein. Those are great sources of protein. So although they are starchy vegetables, you can eat more of those than you would maybe potatoes or corn or that kind of thing. Okay, what else did I forget? All right. So with the non-starchy, as we said, they have less calories. It's usually like 30 calories, under 30 calories, half a cup for non-starchy vegetables, okay? They also have a lot of water, about 90% water. So if those of you that have a hard time drinking your water and hydrating your body like you should, make sure that you are eating not just, the fruit and watermelon stuff, because it has a lot of sugar in it too, but you want to eat non-starchy vegetables, your lettuces and your broccolis and those kinds of things you want to eat, your cabbages, those kind of things you want to eat. Those are full of water, okay? And the non-starchy vegetables have lots of vitamins and minerals. They said, in fact, a lot of them have just about all of the essential nutrients that you need, just in little proportions and different proportions, but they're going to give you a plethora of vitamins and minerals in there. So make sure you're eating lots of those. But they also say, don't just do one or the other. You want to eat both, some starchy, some, and a lot of non-starchy vegetables throughout your day, okay? You want a variety of things. And if you want a recommendation for how much you should eat, all right, about six servings a day. And when I say serving, I'm talking about a half a cup of cooked vegetable, either starchy or non-starchy, whatever. If it's raw, and it's a cup. 1 cup is a serving if it's raw. Half a cup if it's cooked. Okay, 6 servings a day of a combination of non-starchy and a few little starchy, like your beans, your lentils, your sweet potatoes, your peas, your stuff like that, and maybe once in a while your corn. Did you know the potato salad? A potato is a starchy one that you don't want to eat a lot of, like in French fries, but you can eat it. Potato salad. Once a potato has been cooked and then cooled off, it becomes a good source of starchy carb for you if, like, you put it in a potato salad. So y'all, when y'all are doing your celebrating and your holiday treating and your barbecue and all this kind of stuff, don't shy away from that potato salad. Hopefully it has homemade mayonnaise. But anyway, don't shy away from that potato salad because of potatoes, because those cold potatoes, cold cooked potatoes are good for you. Okay, so want to let you know that I'll be having a list of starchy and non-starchy vegetables. I'm giving it out to my text subscribers, the people that subscribe to my free text service, where I do every week. I send you some tips on brain health and healthy tips and things like that. I'm going to be sending out in the near future. I'm going to be sending out a list of the non-starchy and starchy vegetables so you can have stuff to pick from. And if you're not a subscriber yet, this would be a good time to subscribe. That's why I left the link for you. So if you want to subscribe, it's free. You can cancel anytime. I don't send you a plethora of texts every day or whatever. Like once a week, you're going to get a text, unless you're in my Partners Club. Then you get them a little more frequently. But anyway, take a look at that if you're interested, because your brain's destiny is in your hands.